Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me for this week's Health Writing Wednesday. This conversation is going to be a little bit different from our usual Wednesday conversations, where I'm primarily speaking to healthcare providers who are interested in becoming health content writers or new health content writers who are also clinicians. This conversation is also being directed to folks who work with health content writers. So if you are anyone who has hired a freelance health content writer or in the future might have to hire a freelance health content writer, this conversation is for you as well. And what we're going to be discussing today are 7 really important best practices to keep in mind for working with freelance health content writers in 2023. I'm going to keep them very short, sweet, and to the point. So if you are in the process of hiring or thinking that you're going to start hiring freelancers in the near term, and you want to make sure that you have all of your bases covered in a quick and succinct fashion, that is what you're going to get from this video today. Before I jump into the 7 best practices, I do want to introduce myself. My name is Megan Freeland. I am a public health pharmacist by training, but my entire career has been in medical writing and health communications. I am a health content strategist and own my own health content marketing company called Stock Rose Creative. And I also run the Health Professionals to Health Writers program, which is a 6-month accelerator program where I teach fellow pharmacists and other healthcare providers how to leverage their clinical expertise and replace a portion of their income through freelance health content writing. So really excited to have this conversation with you today, and we can go ahead and jump straight into the first best practice, which is to be as specific as possible about your needs when you are initially speaking with prospective or contracted freelance health content writers. So whether you're in like the meet and greet phase where you're still having conversations to see whether you want to work with them, or if this is happening after that where they're already on contract and working with you, you want to be as clear and specific about what your content marketing needs are as you possibly can. The reason for that is because, as you probably know, working in the marketing space, there's a lot of different language and a lot of different terminology that can be used to describe similar processes. And conversely, people will sometimes use the same language to talk about very different processes in their head. So, for example, when I say that I am a content writer, in my mind, what that means is that I am a content writer who focuses on writing blog posts and article style content for health companies. In someone else's mind, that might mean I write blog content, I write website copy, I write email copy, I write social media copy, right? They might have a different perception of what that means than I have of what that means. So it's very important for both the freelancer and the person who's hiring to be very clear and very specific about what the needs are. If you need social copy, say that. If you need email copy, say that, because it's possible that the freelancer you're speaking with doesn't offer those services, and nobody wants to waste anybody's time, right? So this is really a tip for both parties involved. Freelancers, be very specific about what you offer if there are those guardrails, and then hirers have to think of something else to call y'all for this conversation. Those who hire freelancers, hiring managers will say, be very specific about what it is that you need so no one's time gets wasted. Number 2, hiring managers, try not to ask for unpaid work. And what I mean by that is don't ask for writing tests that are unpaid. Most times a freelancer will have a portfolio of samples that demonstrate their work product and demonstrate their writing style. And that should really give you everything you need to know in order to make a decision about whether or not you want to work with this person. But if for some reason you do need to have an additional writing test, maybe there's maybe there are some nuances specific to your organization that you want to make sure this freelancer aligns with. If there's a legitimate need for a writing test, please make sure that that writing test is involves some sort of payment. So either a situation where the person is writing a portion of an article, not a complete article. And if that article looks good and you want to work with them, then they ultimately get paid to finish the entire thing. I have also seen instances where the written test is just a paid written test, period, whether it gets published or not. I have also seen instances where the writer writes a segment of an article or writes a full article, but there's a kill fee attached if the company chooses not to publish and chooses not to work with that freelancer. So regardless of the situation, the freelancer is still being paid for the time and the work that they put in, which is really a best practice. Doing unpaid work for a company that is not that freelancer's client is really something that should be avoided at all costs. Related to rates, make sure that you're offering good rates because you really do get what you pay for. The quality of the work product and the working relationship is a direct function of the quality of the pay. So you can absolutely find writers that you can, lowball, for lack of a better word. There are writers who will accept the work for very, very low rates, but chances are the outcome of that relationship, both on a relationship level and on a product level, in terms of like the deliverables, will likely reflect that low rate of pay. If you are looking for something that is more of a professional relationship, someone who can be a thought partner with you, not just someone who's like executing the content, but someone who might be able to help generate ideas, discuss strategy, that level, you really want to make sure that you're offering good rates, because that's how you attract good talent and qualified, credible, professional talent. Number 4, be very clear about process and expectations up front. This is another one that's I'm really talking to both audiences here, so the freelancers and the hiring managers. You should all aim for transparency in the beginning when you're establishing your processes, because you want to make sure that you are speaking the same language, you're using the same terminology, you're on the same page, and therefore you have the same expectations about what is to come for the duration of the working relationship. So for example, if the freelancer mentions that their process is to use Google Docs to write an initial outline and then write a draft and send that outline and draft to you for approval, you want to make sure that all parties understand what an outline really is, what a draft really is. For some people, when you say outline, they mean like bullet points, text, brief ideas. When some people say outline, they mean what I would consider a first draft. That's two very different things. And so if those expectations aren't aligned, there can be a disconnect between what the freelancer is providing and what you as a hiring manager are expecting, which can then affect the remainder of the working relationship. So all parties want to make sure that you're really clear about what the process is that you're going to follow and what the expectations are. Review chains of review, hierarchies, approval, whatever you call it in your organization. This is another place where being very transparent and clear is really important, because there might be cases where the freelancer offers a maximum number of revisions. And if there are multiple people involved in the revision and approval process, you want to be clear about when those people are expected to review, right? If there are 3 reviewers and someone offers a maximum of 2 revisions, does that mean that all 3 people need to review each time? So 3 reviewers for the first round of revisions, 3 reviewers come back for the second round of revisions? Is it just that, maybe one of those reviewers only needs to look at the final version? Like whatever the setup is, that's something that you want to be very clear about. So those are just a couple of examples about why it's really important to be clear on expectations and process upfront. Number 5, this is something that will become increasingly more important. Ask about AI. Don't feel the need to dance around the topic. We all know it's here. We all know what the technology is capable of doing right now. And so it's really important to have again, transparent conversation about how the freelancer is, how their perception of generative AI tools that support their writing work, how they're using those tools. It's also important for the freelancer to understand your perspective on generative AI tools as the hiring manager. If there are responsible AI practices that your company has, if there are disclosure requirements that your company has, if there are, maybe, I don't know, whatever other policies around AI that your company might have, those are things that you should discuss on the call, because on an introductory call, because they can definitely affect how someone works and whether someone might be a good fit for your company. So don't avoid the conversation, have it, it's fine. I think as freelancers, we're kind of expecting to have that conversation more and more. So I do think it's an important one to have. Number 6, this is another one that goes both ways. Freelancers being respectful of hiring managers being respectful of freelancers. Thinking about respecting freelancers, what I mean by that is that each party has their own area of expertise. So oftentimes a freelancer is considered as someone who just comes in and executes the work and then they go on their way, right? They're just providing a service. But that freelancer has a wealth of experience and a wealth of expertise, possibly in areas that you as a hiring manager don't necessarily have, or maybe they have a deeper level of expertise in that particular area. So just recognizing that everyone is coming to the table with their own value add, with their own expertise, with their own experience, and everyone can learn from each other and therefore should really be respecting their role in that relationship. Last but not least, number 7, you want to assess the value of working with a particular freelancer, especially in the context of freelance health content writing, beyond typical marketing experience. So I work closely with healthcare providers who are becoming health content writers. They essentially have a strong clinical background, a strong healthcare background, where they don't have as much experience as on the writing side, and so that's what they're learning throughout the 6-month accelerator program that I run. They're learning the writing, they're learning the marketing strategy, all that good stuff. And especially if we're talking about someone who's hiring a freelance health content writer for a B2C or even a B2B2C style writing project or initiative, where the audience is a consumer audience, there is a lot more value that your freelance health content writer is able to offer when they also have a clinical background, when they're also a healthcare provider. And so you want to keep that experience in mind as you are evaluating that freelancer, because you don't just want to look at, their writing experience and their marketing experience, though that is important. You also want to think about what additional value and insights and perspectives could this person bring to our company? How could this person help us improve, perhaps on a patient education side, whereas we may be more focused on the technicalities of whatever form of digital marketing we're talking about. Now we have someone who's able to help us execute on those marketing initiatives and goals, but who also has a really strong background in patient education. So just making sure that you're looking at the whole package when you are assessing and analyzing whether you want to work with a particular freelance health content writer, especially when they have that clinical or healthcare background. So what is June 2023 now. So in just over 2 years, the first Health Professionals to Health Writer Accelerator launched in March 2021. So just over 2 years ago. And since then, I've worked with, I would say, 40 to 45 pharmacists, dentists, some occupational therapists, et cetera, a group of healthcare providers, to provide them with that training that they need to be able to become effective health content writers. And so when I share these best practices, I'm speaking from my own experience as a freelance slash self-employed health content writer for the past 7 years at this point, 7-ish years. And also the experience of working with all of these healthcare providers as they have journeyed into health content writing as well. And so I just wanted to provide that context so that you can know that these best practices are not coming from thin air. This is based on personal experience and the experiences of students that I've had the opportunity to work with over the past several years. So I hope these best practices have been informative for you. If you are searching for a health content writer who also has a clinical background, you can always always visit stockrosecreative.com/contact. That is how you would get in touch with Stockrose, my content marketing agency. But in the event that we don't have the capacity to support your company or project at the time, then we can also help connect you with health content writers in our network who have been through that Health Professionals to Health Writers program and have the background to be able to support you in your particular efforts. So you can always feel free to reach out there. Let me know which of these best practices has been most informative for you. If you are already a health content writer and you have any best practices to add, feel free to leave those in the comments. And I will see you all for the next Health Writing